On October 17, 1981, Roy Kessler prepared his final 11 o'clock forecast at WKRT-Channel 9 in Denton Falls, Ohio. At 11:14 p.m., the studio monitors went dark. Station management called it an electrical accident, closed in 72 hours. But they never explained why the broadcast tape was degaussed before sunrise. They never explained the Weather Service teletype that predicted clear skies, when Kessler's last words on air warned of something else entirely. And they never explained the 17-second gap in the master log, erased so completely that even the timecode was gone. 15 months later, Catherine Vance sat in the basement of the Ohio Broadcast Archives in Columbus, threading a damaged 2-inch quad tape through a restoration deck. The archive had acquired WKRT's collection after the station went dark in August of '82. Most of the tapes were routine: local news, high school football, farm reports. But the October '81 log showed a gap. October 17th, the 11 p.m. newscast. Missing. Vance had spent 9 years documenting broadcast anomalies for the State Historical Commission. Equipment failures, transmission errors, the mundane archaeology of local television. She'd seen gaps before. They happened. But gaps with matching erasures in the station's master log, the engineering notes, and the overnight security report, those didn't happen by accident. She pulled the WKRT personnel file and found Roy Kessler's employment photo. A heavy-set man in his 50s, thinning hair, unremarkable features. 12 years at the station. No complaints, no incidents. Dead at 11:14 p.m. on a Saturday night, alone in the studio. The coroner's report was 3 pages. Electrocution. Contact with exposed wiring behind the chroma key panel. Time of death consistent with the broadcast interruption at 11:14.
Consistent, not confirmed.
Vance underlined the phrase. The report listed no witnesses. The security guard, a man named Pruitt, had been in the lobby. The director had gone home at 10:45. Kessler was alone in Studio B. She turned to the equipment maintenance log, recovered from a water-damaged box in the WKRT collection. The chroma key panel had been inspected on October 12th, 5 days before Kessler's death. No faults noted. Wiring sound. All connections secure. Vance pulled her notepad closer.
Wiring doesn't expose itself in 5 days.
She wrote the date on her legal pad, October 12th, then October 17th, then a question mark. The former security guard lived in a duplex on the east side of Denton Falls. Vance found him on the porch, a tired-looking man in his 60s with a bad knee and a Reds cap.
Mr. Pruitt? I'm Catherine Vance, Ohio Broadcast Archives. I'm documenting the WKRT collection.
He didn't invite her inside.
That station's been closed 8 months.
I know. I'm trying to complete the records. There's some confusion about the night of October 17th, '81.
Pruitt's hand tightened on the porch rail.
Nothing confusing about it. Roy touched something he shouldn't have. Terrible thing.
The maintenance log shows the equipment was sound 5 days earlier.
Things break.
Where were you when the broadcast stopped?
Lobby desk, like always.
His eyes moved to the street, then back.
Like always.
Vance drove to the WKRT building on Commerce Street. The station had been dark since August, the call letters stripped from the facade. She'd obtained a key from the county property office. The building was in foreclosure proceedings. The lobby smelled of mildew and old carpet. The security desk was still there, positioned beside the elevator. From that angle, Vance could see the hallway leading to Studio B. She walked the route. Lobby to hallway, hallway to studio door, 47 steps.
47 steps. Maybe 12 seconds at a walk.
She stood at the studio door. The chroma key panel was against the far wall, 60 feet from the entrance. If Kessler had cried out when he touched the exposed wire, Pruitt would have heard nothing from the lobby. The hallway was too long, the door too thick. But Pruitt had arrived within 2 minutes of the broadcast failure. He'd said so in his statement. How had he known something was wrong? Studio B was untouched. The equipment had been too specialized to sell, too bulky to move. The chroma key panel still stood against the back wall, its green surface faded to a sickly teal. Vance approached it carefully. The panel was 7 feet tall, mounted on a rolling frame. Behind it, she found the wiring conduit that the coroner's report had described. The exposed section was still visible, copper bright against the gray insulation. She crouched down, studied the wires.
Cut, not worn. Cut.
The insulation hadn't frayed. It had been sliced with something sharp, leaving clean edges on both sides of the exposed copper. This wasn't equipment failure. Someone had prepared this. She photographed the wiring from 3 angles, then stood. The control room window overlooked the studio from above. From there, someone could have watched everything. Watched and waited. The WKRT engineering files were scattered across 3 boxes in the archive basement. Vance spent the afternoon sorting them. Work orders, transmitter logs, FCC compliance reports. Then she found it. A memo dated October 15th, 1981, 2 days before Kessler died. The memo was from the general manager, a man named Garrett Dunlap, to the chief engineer. Subject line, Studio B modifications. The body was brief. Vance read it aloud.
Per our discussion, ensure the chroma key panel wiring is accessible for Saturday's inspection. GD.
She checked the maintenance log again. No inspection was scheduled for October 17th. The only entry that week was the routine check on October 12th. Someone had wanted that wiring exposed. Someone had wanted it accessible. And the memo was signed by the man who'd identified Kessler's body. Garrett Dunlap had left Denton Falls in March of '82, 5 months after Kessler's death. The station's personnel records showed a forwarding address in Cincinnati. The phone directory showed nothing. Vance called the Ohio Broadcasters Association.
Dunlap? Let me check. He's listed as inactive. Last known employer was WKRT Denton Falls. Terminated August '82 when the station closed.
Any current contact information?
Nothing updated since then. You might try the pension office. If he drew a broadcast pension, they'd have an address.
Vance thanked her and hung up. She pulled the WKRT organizational chart from the personnel box. Dunlap had been general manager since 1974. Before that, he'd been sales director at a station in Toledo. 7 years running WKRT. Then Kessler died, and less than a year later, the station was dark and Dunlap was gone. The Weather Service office in Columbus maintained copies of all teletype transmissions from October '81. Vance requested the Denton Falls feed for October 17th. The clerk, a young man with thick glasses and a permanent squint, found the file in 20 minutes.
Here you go. 1800 hours through midnight. All the bulletins that went to WKRT's teletype.
Vance scanned the printouts. The 6 p.m. bulletin showed clear skies forecast through Sunday. The 9 p.m. update confirmed it. High pressure system, no precipitation expected. But someone at WKRT had told the County Historical Society that Kessler's final broadcast warned of an approaching storm. That was why they'd wanted the tape preserved. A weatherman's last prediction.
Clear skies. No storm in the forecast.
So what had Roy Kessler actually said at 11:14 p.m.? And why had someone erased it before anyone else could hear? That evening, Vance spread her notes across the motel room desk. The Pineview Inn charged $18 a night and smelled of disinfectant, but it was 5 miles from Denton Falls, and the phone worked. She organized what she knew. Kessler died touching exposed wiring. The wiring had been cut, not worn. A memo 2 days earlier requested the wiring be made accessible. The broadcast tape was erased within hours. The Weather Service showed no storm, but someone claimed Kessler warned of one.
2 possibilities.
She wrote them down.
1. Kessler discovered something, said it on air. Someone killed him and erased the evidence. 2. Kessler was the target regardless. The broadcast warning was a cover story, invented after the fact.
Either way, the memo pointed to Garrett Dunlap. And Harold Pruitt had lied about being at the lobby desk. Vance circled Dunlap's name, then Pruitt's, then drew a line connecting them. The Denton Falls Public Library kept microfilm of the local paper going back to 1942. Vance found the October 81 editions on the third reel. The story ran on page 3 of the Sunday edition. Local weatherman dies in studio accident. 6 paragraphs. Kessler's career summarized in 2 sentences. The cause of death attributed to faulty equipment. A quote from Garrett Dunlap. Vance read it slowly.
Roy was a dedicated professional. Our WKRT family is devastated by this loss.
She scrolled forward. Monday's paper had nothing. Tuesday mentioned the funeral arrangements. Wednesday was blank. Then, Thursday. A small item in the business section. WKRT announces programming changes. Effective immediately, the 11 p.m. newscast would be discontinued. The slot would be filled with syndicated content. 3 days after Kessler's death, they canceled the entire program. Vance found the program director's name in the personnel files. Donna Krebs. The address was local, a house on Maple Street that hadn't been updated in the records. The woman who answered the door was in her 50s, gray-haired, wearing a housecoat and slippers. Her face was plain, tired, the face of someone who'd stopped expecting visitors.
Mrs. Krebs? I'm Catherine Vance from the State Broadcast Archives.
I haven't worked in television in almost a year.
I'm documenting the WKRT collection. There are some gaps in the October 81 records.
Donna Krebs looked past Vance to the street, then back.
The October records.
The night Roy Kessler died.
Something shifted in the woman's face. Not fear. Something older. Resignation.
I suppose you'd better come inside.
The living room was small and overheated. Donna Krebs sat in an armchair by the window, hands folded in her lap.
I was home that night, left the station at 10:30. Roy was doing the late forecast, same as always.
Did you see anyone else in the building when you left?
Just Harold at the desk. And Garrett, Mr. Dunlap. He was in his office.
Vance leaned forward.
Dunlap was there at 10:30?
He was there most nights. Liked to watch the broadcasts from the control room.
The coroner's report says Kessler was alone in the studio.
Donna Krebs was silent for a moment. Her hands tightened in her lap.
That's what the report says.
Mrs. Krebs. Was Garrett Dunlap in the building when Roy Kessler died?
The woman looked at the window, at the gray sky beyond.
I wouldn't know. I went home at 10:30.
Vance pressed.
The 11 p.m. broadcast was canceled 3 days after Kessler's death. Whose decision was that?
Garrett's. He said it was a cost-cutting measure. The late news wasn't selling enough advertising.
Was that true?
The late news had the best ratings of any local program. We sold every spot.
Vance wrote that down.
So why cancel it?
Donna Krebs stood abruptly, walked to the window. Her reflection was pale against the gray glass.
I don't know why Garrett did what he did. I just know that after Roy died, things changed. The atmosphere, the way people talked to each other. Harold started looking at everyone like we were suspects.
Suspects in what?
I don't know. I just know I was glad when the station closed.
She turned from the window. Her eyes were wet.
I think you should go now.
Back at the archive, Vance pulled the WKRT advertising records. If the late news had been profitable, the sales logs would show it. The October 81 ledger was water damaged, but readable. The 11 p.m. newscast had 12 sponsors, full inventory, no unsold time. She compared it to September. Similar numbers. August. The same. Then she checked November, after the cancellation. The syndicated program that replaced the newscast had 4 sponsors. Revenue down 60%.
You cancelled your most profitable program.
She pulled the station's financial statements. WKRT had been marginally profitable in 81. By March of 82, they were losing money. By June, they defaulted on their transmitter lease. By August, they were dark. The station had survived for 7 years under Garrett Dunlap. 10 months after Roy Kessler's death, it was gone. Something had broken. And it started on October 17th. The pension office had Garrett Dunlap's current address, an apartment complex in Dayton, 90 miles west. Vance drove there on a Thursday morning. The building was 4 stories of beige brick, built in the 60s and maintained reluctantly. She found Dunlap's name on the buzzer panel, Apartment 3C. The intercom crackled.
Yes?
Mr. Dunlap? I'm Catherine Vance, Ohio Broadcast Archives. I'm documenting the WKRT collection.
Silence. Then,
I have nothing to say about WKRT.
I found your memo, October 15th, 81. The one about making the chroma key wiring accessible.
the intercom went dead. Vance waited. 1 minute. 2. Then the door buzzed open. Garrett Dunlap was smaller than his personnel photo suggested. A thin man in his 60s, gray stubble, wearing a cardigan that hung loose on his frame. The apartment was dim, curtains drawn, television murmuring in the corner.
You're from the archives, not the police.
The police closed the case in 72 hours. I'm trying to complete the broadcast records.
The records are complete.
There's no tape of the October 17th broadcast. The engineering log shows it was degaussed at 3 a.m.
Dunlap lowered himself into a chair. His hands trembled slightly.
Equipment malfunction. The tape was corrupted.
The degausser was signed out in your name.
His eyes moved to the window, the drawn curtains.
I don't remember that.
Vance sat on the edge of the couch, notepad on her knee.
Your memo asked the chief engineer to make the wiring accessible. 2 days later, Roy Kessler touched that wiring and died. Help me understand.
It was a routine request. We were planning equipment upgrades.
On a Saturday night? During a live broadcast?
The timing was coincidental.
Mr. Dunlap, the wiring was cut. Not worn, cut.
Dunlap's hands stopped trembling. He went very still.
Who told you that?
I saw it myself. The insulation was sliced clean.
For a long moment, Dunlap said nothing. Then he stood, walked to the window, pulled the curtain aside an inch.
You should leave.
Not until you tell me what Roy Kessler said on that broadcast.
I don't know what he said. I wasn't watching.
Vance didn't move.
Donna Krebs said you watched the broadcast from the control room. Every night.
Donna talks too much.
She also said the late news was your most profitable program. Why did you cancel it?
Dunlap let the curtain fall. He turned to face her, and in the gray light his face looked hollowed out, exhausted.
Because I was told to.
By whom?
By people who don't answer questions from archive clerks.
What people?
He walked past her toward the door, opened it.
The kind who make problems disappear. The kind who can make sure a county coroner writes accident on a death certificate. The kind who've been watching this building since you arrived.
Vance looked at the open door, then at Dunlap.
Go home, Miss Vance. Forget the archives. Forget Roy Kessler. Some tapes stay erased for a reason.
Vance drove back to Denton Falls. The highway was empty, gray fields stretching to the horizon. Dunlap's words repeated in her head. Watching this building since you arrived. She checked the rearview mirror. A brown sedan, half a mile back. She'd seen it in the apartment parking lot. Vance took the next exit. The sedan followed. She pulled into a gas station, watched the sedan pass on the main road. Ohio plates. She couldn't read the numbers.
Paranoid. You're being paranoid.
But she wrote down what she could see of the plate anyway. And she took the back roads to the motel, adding 30 minutes to the drive. The sedan didn't reappear, but that night she pushed the dresser against the door before she slept. The next morning, Vance returned to the WKRT building. She needed to see the control room, the place where Dunlap had watched the broadcasts, the place where someone had witnessed whatever Roy Kessler said before he died. The control room was on the second floor, overlooking Studio B through a wide window. The consoles were dusty but intact. Video switchers, audio boards, a row of monitors now dark. Vance studied the layout. From the director's chair, you could see the entire studio floor, the anchor desk, the weather set, the chroma key panel, and the wiring behind it.
If you were watching from here, you'd have seen everything.
She searched the console surfaces, found a clipboard wedged between two monitors. The pages were blank except for the first, which showed a handwritten log. October 17th, 2300 hours, 1 entry. Broadcast terminated per GD instruction. Broadcast terminated per GD instruction. 2300 hours, 11 p.m. The broadcast had been cut before Kessler finished, before he touched the wiring, before he died. Vance photographed the clipboard. Then she searched the rest of the control room. In a filing cabinet, she found a stack of director's notes from October 81. Weekly schedules, sponsor cues, camera blocking, and a single page, typed, dated October 16th.
Per management directive, all broadcast recordings from 10/17/81 to be retained in secure storage pending review. Do not duplicate. Do not air repeats. GD.
The memo was written the day before Kessler died, before the broadcast, before the accident. Dunlap had known something was going to happen. He'd prepared for it.
You knew. You knew he was going to die.
Vance drove to the county courthouse. The property records office was in the basement, staffed by a heavy-set clerk with a permanent frown.
I need the ownership history for the WKRT building on Commerce Street.
The clerk pulled the file without comment. Vance spread the documents on the counter. WKRT had been owned by Midland Broadcasting Corporation since 1974, the same year Dunlap became general manager. Midland's address was a P.O. box in Columbus. Vance flipped to the corporate registration. Midland Broadcasting was a subsidiary of Northfield Holdings. Northfield's registered agent was a law firm in Cleveland.
Shell company inside a shell company.
She copied down the names. Then she found the final page. A transfer of ownership dated August 82, the month the station closed. Midland had sold the building to the county for $1. The signature on the transfer belonged to someone named Victor Marsh. Title: Managing Director, Northfield Holdings. A name she'd never seen in any WKRT document. That night, Vance called her contact at the Secretary of State's office. Ellen Crowley had worked corporate registrations for 15 years and owed Vance a favor.
Northfield Holdings. Let me see. Incorporated 1968. Registered agent is Marsh & Associates, Cleveland. Principal officers. That's odd.
What?
The officer list is sealed. Court order 1972.
Can you tell me why?
Just says pending litigation. But Catherine, I recognize this filing pattern. Northfield's corporate structure is identical to 3 other holding companies I've seen. All sealed. All connected to the same Cleveland law firm.
What kind of companies?
Ellen was quiet for a moment.
The kind that own things nobody's supposed to know they own. The kind that move money without leaving fingerprints.
Vance thanked her and hung up. She stared at the name she'd written down. Victor Marsh, Managing Director. The man who'd sold a television station for $1. The Cleveland law firm occupied the 14th floor of a glass tower downtown. Vance arrived at 9 a.m., wearing her best professional suit, carrying a briefcase full of archive credentials. The receptionist was polite but firm.
Mr. Marsh doesn't take unscheduled meetings.
I'm from the Ohio Broadcast Archives. We've acquired records from one of his client companies. I need to verify some documentation.
Which company?
Northfield Holdings. Specifically, Their subsidiary, Midland Broadcasting.
The receptionist's expression didn't change, but her hand moved to the phone.
Please have a seat.
Vance waited. 10 minutes. 20. Then a man appeared from the inner office. Tall, silver-haired, wearing a suit that cost more than Vance made in a month. His face was composed, professional, and his eyes were cold.
Miss Vance? I'm Victor Marsh. Why don't you come in?
Marsh's office overlooked Lake Erie. The view was spectacular and clearly intentional. He gestured Vance to a chair, then sat behind a desk bare except for a telephone and a single folder.
The broadcast archives. I wasn't aware the state was investigating Midland's records.
We acquired the WKRT collection after the station closed. There are some gaps I'm trying to fill.
Gaps.
October 17th, 1981. A broadcast tape was erased. A man died. The station closed 10 months later.
Marsh's expression remained pleasant. His hands were folded on the desk.
Roy Kessler. A tragic accident. I believe the county coroner's report was quite thorough.
The wiring that killed him was cut. Not worn. Cut.
For the first time, something flickered behind Marsh's eyes. Interest. Or calculation.
That's a serious accusation, Miss Vance.
Vance didn't flinch.
I'm not accusing anyone. I'm asking questions. Why was the broadcast tape erased before sunrise? Why did Garrett Dunlap write a memo the day before Kessler died, ordering all recordings secured? Why was the late news canceled 3 days after the accident?
Station operations were Mr. Dunlap's responsibility. I had no involvement in programming decisions.
But you owned the station.
Northfield owned the station. I managed Northfield's legal affairs. A different matter entirely.
Then, who at Northfield would have instructed Dunlap to cancel the most profitable program on the schedule?
Marsh smiled. It didn't reach his eyes.
Miss Vance, you're an archive clerk asking questions about a 10-month-old accident at a station that no longer exists. Who exactly are you working for?
The state of Ohio.
And what is the state of Ohio's interest in Roy Kessler?
Vance met his gaze.
I'm documenting broadcast history. When I find gaps, I fill them. When I find inconsistencies, I note them.
And when you find things that are none of your concern?
I haven't found those yet.
Marsh stood, walked to the window. His reflection was clear against the gray sky.
Miss Vance, WKRT was a small station in a small market. It lost money. It closed. These things happen. Roy Kessler was a weatherman who touched faulty equipment. Tragic but not unusual. The questions you're asking, they have no answers because there's nothing to answer.
Then why did someone follow me from Garrett Dunlap's apartment?
Marsh turned. His face was carefully blank.
I wouldn't know anything about that.
A brown sedan. Ohio plates.
As I said, I wouldn't know.
He walked to the door, opened it.
This meeting is over.
Vance was in the elevator when she realized her hands were shaking. The brown sedan had frightened her more than she'd admitted, and Marsh's careful non-denials had confirmed what she suspected. Roy Kessler had been killed. The broadcast had been erased, and someone with enough money to own shell companies and seal court records had made sure no one asked questions. The elevator opened on the parking garage. Vance walked to her car, keys in hand. The brown sedan was parked 3 spaces away. She stopped. A man sat in the driver's seat, face obscured by shadow. He didn't move. Vance got in her car, started the engine, pulled out of the space. The sedan didn't follow. But as she drove past, she saw the man reach for something on the passenger seat. A camera. He was photographing her license plate. Back in Denton Falls, Vance went to the one person who might still talk. Harold Pruitt hadn't told her everything, but he'd been there that night. He knew what happened. This time, she didn't wait on the porch. She knocked until he answered.
I told you I was at the desk.
You were at the desk when the broadcast stopped, but you reached Studio B in 2 minutes. How did you know something was wrong?
The monitors went dark. I saw it from the lobby.
There were no monitors in the lobby. I checked.
Pruitt's face changed. The defensive hostility cracked, and something else showed through. Fear.
You need to stop asking questions.
A man in a brown sedan is following me. Victor Marsh is involved. What was on that broadcast, Mr. Pruitt?
I don't know.
You were there. You saw Roy Kessler die. What did he say?
Pruitt's hand gripped the doorframe. His voice dropped to a whisper.
I wasn't at the desk. I was in the control room. Garrett called me up there.
Why?
He said he needed a witness. I didn't know what he meant. Then the broadcast started.
What did Kessler say?
He did the weather, normal. Then at the end, he looked at the camera and said there was something the viewers needed to know. About the station. About who owned it.
Vance held her breath.
He said WKRT was laundering money. He said the advertising revenue was fake. He said Northfield Holdings was a front for people who made problems disappear. He had documents. He was going to show them.
What happened?
Garrett cut the feed. Then he walked down to the studio. I heard Roy shout. Then nothing.
Pruitt's eyes were wet.
I stayed in the control room, like a coward. I stayed and watched.
Vance's voice was steady.
Dunlap killed him.
He walked over to the chroma key panel. Roy was still talking, trying to show the documents. Garrett pushed him. Roy stumbled back, touched the wiring.
The wiring Dunlap had ordered exposed.
I didn't know. I swear I didn't know until I saw it happen.
And then you helped him cover it up.
He told me if I talked, the same people who owned the station would come for me, for my family. He said they'd done it before.
Pruitt slumped against the doorframe.
I've been waiting 11 months for someone to find out. I wanted to tell the police, but Garrett said they owned the police too, said they owned everyone.
Who? Who are they?
I don't know. Garrett just called them the investors, the people behind Northfield.
Vance drove back to the motel. Her hands were steady on the wheel, but her mind was racing. Roy Kessler had discovered that WKRT was being used to launder money. He'd tried to expose it on air. Garrett Dunlap had killed him and erased the broadcast. Northfield Holdings, Victor Marsh, had made the investigation disappear. But Kessler had mentioned documents. He was going to show them.
Where are the documents?
She pulled over, thought about what Pruitt had said. Roy was still talking, trying to show the documents. If Kessler had documents, he would have brought them to the studio. If Dunlap had found them, they would have been destroyed with the tape. But if Kessler had hidden them, Vance turned the car around, headed back toward the WKRT building. The studio had been untouched for 8 months. If the documents were still there, she had to find them before anyone else did. The WKRT building was dark. Vance used her county key to enter, then made her way to Studio B by flashlight. She searched the weather set first. The desk drawers were empty. The cabinet beneath the monitors held only dust. She moved to the chroma key panel, searched behind it, found nothing but the exposed wiring. Then she remembered. Kessler had been a weatherman for 12 years. He would have had a workspace, a desk, personal effects. She climbed to the second floor, found the meteorology office at the end of the hall. The door was unlocked. Inside, the room was undisturbed. Weather maps on the walls. A teletype machine, silent. A desk with a family photograph and a coffee mug that said, "World's Best Dad." Vance pulled open the desk drawers, found pencils, notepads, a broken calculator. And in the bottom drawer, beneath a stack of old forecasts, a manila envelope marked insurance. The envelope contained 12 pages, bank statements, wire transfers, a ledger showing advertising payments from companies that didn't exist. Vance spread them on the desk, reading by flashlight. The money moved in circles. Fake advertisers paid WKRT for commercial time. WKRT deposited the payments. Then the money was transferred to Northfield Holdings, minus a management fee. Hundreds of thousands of dollars. over 7 years.
Money laundering. Roy was right.
The final page was a handwritten note. Kessler's handwriting, cramped and urgent. If something happens to me, these documents prove that WKRT is being used to clean money for organized crime. Garrett Dunlap knows. He's been taking a cut. The investors are connected to Cleveland. I'm going to expose them on air. October 17, 1981. Vance photographed every page. Then she put the envelope in her briefcase and left the building. The brown sedan was waiting in the parking lot. Vance stopped at the building entrance. The sedan's headlights were off, but she could see the silhouette of the driver. Waiting. She looked around. The street was empty. No other cars. No witnesses. The sedan's door opened. A man stepped out, heavyset, wearing a dark coat. He walked toward her, hands in his pockets.
Ms. Vance, Mr. Marsh would like to see you.
I've already met with Mr. Marsh.
He has more to discuss.
Vance's hand tightened on her briefcase. The documents were inside. The proof.
And if I decline?
You won't.
He took another step. Vance backed toward the building.
I've already made copies. Everything I found goes to the State Attorney General if I don't check in by morning.
The man stopped. His expression didn't change.
Mr. Marsh anticipated that. He says you should come anyway. He has information you'll want.
The ride to Cleveland took 2 hours. Vance sat in the back of the sedan, watching the highway lights pass. The driver said nothing. They arrived at a warehouse near the waterfront, industrial, anonymous, the kind of place where things happened that no one talked about. Victor Marsh was waiting inside, standing beneath a single hanging light. His suit was immaculate. His face was calm.
Ms. Vance, thank you for coming.
I didn't have much choice.
There's always a choice. You could have run, called the police. Instead, you came to hear what I have to say.
What do you have to say?
Marsh walked closer. His shoes echoed on the concrete floor.
Roy Kessler was going to destroy a business that employed dozens of people. Legitimate people. People with families. The money that moved through WKRT, it wasn't all dirty. Some of it was real.
And the rest?
The rest kept the station alive.
Vance held her ground.
You killed a man to protect a money laundering operation. You bribed a coroner. You erased evidence. And now you're trying to justify it.
I didn't kill anyone. Garrett Dunlap panicked. He acted without authorization.
But you covered it up.
I protected an investment. The same way I protect all our investments.
Who is we?
Marsh smiled. It was the same cold smile she'd seen in his office.
People who understand how the world works. People who keep things running smoothly. You have documents in that briefcase. You think they're proof of a crime, but they're also proof of how fragile the system is. One weatherman with a conscience almost brought it all down.
And you killed him for it.
We stopped him. There's a difference.
He reached into his jacket. Vance tensed, but he only pulled out an envelope.
$50,000. Walk away. Forget what you found. Live a comfortable life.
Vance looked at the envelope, then at Marsh.
Here's what happened. Roy Kessler spent months tracking the money. He found the fake advertisers. He found the wire transfers. He knew WKRT was being used to clean cash for your investors. He tried to expose it on air. Garrett Dunlap cut the broadcast and killed him. You erased the tape, paid off the coroner, and shut down the station before anyone could ask questions.
She stepped closer. Her voice was steady.
But you made mistakes. The memo Dunlap wrote, the control room log, Harold Pruitt, who watched it happen and has lived with the guilt for 11 months, and Roy Kessler's documents, hidden in his desk, waiting for someone to find them.
She opened her briefcase, pulled out the manila envelope.
I have everything. The financial records, Pruitt's statement, the physical evidence from the studio. Tomorrow morning, it goes to the State Attorney General. Unless you want to tell me why I shouldn't.
Marsh's smile faded.
You're making a mistake.
3 weeks later, state investigators arrested Garrett Dunlap at his Dayton apartment. He was charged with second-degree murder and the death of Roy Kessler. Harold Pruitt testified under immunity, describing what he'd witnessed in the control room. Victor Marsh was indicted on charges of conspiracy, obstruction of justice, and money laundering. Northfield Holdings was dissolved. The Cleveland law firm was raided. 14 people were arrested. The broadcast that Roy Kessler tried to air was never recovered. The tape had been erased too completely, but his document survived. His words, written in cramped handwriting on the night he died, finally reached the audience he'd intended. Catherine Vance returned to the Ohio Broadcast Archives. She filed her documentation of the WKRT collection, including a detailed report on the October 17th gap. The report noted that some broadcast records are lost to equipment failure, some to negligence, and some to deliberate destruction. And some, she wrote, are erased because someone was afraid of what they contained. The forecast that never aired had finally been heard.